So, you want to head back to visit Nuala? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yes. Before we get started, just a reminder to follow bits, follow, cheer, subscribe, donate, beat the stream boss. You get us edge every time that you do. And you could possibly, if you're the last stream boss standing, win a chance to create a GM with, create a PC with the GM Scrim. Yeah. And I feel like there was something else to mention. Yeah. Oh, tweet about us, throw us out on social media, word of mouth, get more people here. Like, hey, there's this really awesome stream that's going on. You should come check us out. Yeah, word of mouth.
Also, follow all of our handles to know what we're up to and when we're live and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so you head back to the shack, I'm imagining, or did you have another way you wanted to contact her?
Do we have another way to contact her?
She hasn't given you any.
Well, I mean, we were at her shack for an entire night, and she wasn't there, so maybe, Maybe it's just because she's working at that. Maybe it's because she's working at that castle. She might have.
I said exactly what you said, and I was like, yeah, she could have like a day job work, and then I realized you guys can't even hear me.
Yeah, if it's anything, I guess maybe she lives on site, and then if she gets released, she gets to go back to her shack.
You can spend a plot point to establish some sort of method of communication, or see if chat has any suggestions for what may or may not have been established.
Why can't we just hack into people's comlinks and subvocal to them anymore?
It's a good thing we didn't bring a decker.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, actually, I wonder what they would turn it. Whatever.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that we have what we have, but I really wish I would have been prepared for this. So this alone means serious doing it, because this metaplane bullshit is not alright.
It's probably perhaps.
No, it's like we have to relearn everything that we know.
Yeah.
Well, you two have to. I can just cast spells willy-nilly.
You had to implement yourself into the society and learn the metaplane's traits, and it's a big pile of bullshit. But we'll figure that out when we figure that out. So she's at work right now? Is that what's happening?
At this exact moment, yes, you just saw her working in Garb's apartments.
So we could either go to the inn where she's staying, which one will be... It would probably take some time to find out where she actually is.
Does she live in the cabin?
She lives in the shack.
Yeah, she lives in the shack.
No, I mean her work.
Oh, for work?
Mm-hmm,
okay,
because if she's there...
I'm going to take Keck Ninja's suggestion that she told you, if you need to speak with me, I will return to the shack. Just if you really want to find me, in her what was her voice? If you really want to find me, then you can head back to the shack, and I'll join you.
Okay, so we also have like a subvocal-ish thing with her.
No, she has a ward. She knows where we are.
Yeah, a ward. Yeah.
We're able to subvocal with each other.
She's aware that you need to speak with her. If you need to speak with her, she's aware.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Oh man, these are some good suggestions, though. Thanks, everybody. Those are great. I might grab those for another thing. Yeah. So then you head back to the shack?
Yes.
You're there for a little while. And and it was kind of the middle of the day when you scryed on Garv, and you head back to the shack, and you're there for a little while. She doesn't show up. Noella doesn't show up until early evening. The sun is, it always is kind of a golden cast, but right now it's at its peak sunset. And she says, "What did you need? Is everything all right?"
Well, there's a few things that we need to ask about before we head to this feast or ball or whatever it is.
I heard that you have gained admittance to the Queen's banquet. That's not a very common occurrence, particularly with such newcomers.
Well, we are professionals. We're quite adaptive.
Out of character, we can't hide anything from her, huh? Because she knows where we are at all times. Can probably hear us all the time, right?
I would say, like, you wouldn't quite know how it works, but you know that she can be aware of you. She at very least has a trace on you that, you know, if you need to talk to her, it signals her.
So basically, don't conspire against her. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, we need more information on Garb, because we're just now coming to the conclusion that this is going to be a bit more tricky than we thought.
I guess in addition to information on Garb, just any lead that you can give us on this ruby. We're concerned that it's look, yeah, go ahead.
All right. Chat, if you have anything to add for information on Garv. She's rather a particular woman. She doesn't take kindly to changes in routine, as one might be surprised to know exactly how particular she is, given that she cartwheels about so freely. She's very loyal to the Queen. She does not brook any hint of rebellion in any way. What else can I tell you about the ruby? Whew. It has strange properties. It doesn't always stay put, if you know what I mean. It'll sometimes it'll end up in places you didn't quite expect. So Garv has figured out a way to rein it in a little bit, but it's sometimes when she's wearing it, she'll be able to sort of move it around. It'll be on her necklace one moment and on her ring the next.
From my knowledge of magic, could I assume I know what that is? Would you like me to roll for that?
Whoa!
Whoa!
Thank you to Chummer
What
Jim.
up, Chummer Jim?
We all just
Jim.
got an edge.
Yeah.
And Chummer Jim is now the stream boss.
Jim wants a gym on the court, is what he said earlier.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, gee. Okay, so, sorry, the question was, would you know what it is?
Yeah, would you like me to roll sorcery for that?
I would like you to roll. There will be a gym on the court.
Or
I'm excited to see what
Jim
what
has
Jim
offered.
does. Yeah, you know it. This ruby must have some sort of property that allows it to, like trans-dimensional movement, like teleporting.
Would I know from that roll any spells to hold it down? To disable it or to keep it tied to a person and or thing or object?
It's possible. You would know it's possible to do that. You wouldn't be able to know exactly how to deal with it until you actually saw it astrally. Okay. So you'd have to see exactly how it behaves and see if you can figure out a way to kind of you almost have to trap it in something for it to stay in one place. Or Garv seems to have figured out a way to kind of like control it. So from what Noelle is saying, she hasn't trapped it in anything, but she can keep it from, just flying off into another metaplane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's on her then. I'm sorry.
I will actually spend a plot point. Now, obviously, we don't know this, and probably won't, but one thing that I know about the Croaky that she was talking to in the gallery last session is that the Croaky... I know as a player outside, so I'm going to insert this in, is that the Croaky, they are able to fold space and time as art. So she's used the Croaky's abilities to like craft something that will contain the jewel.
Love it.
Right?
So we have to Super Mario 64 jump in a painting?
I don't know. So I asked, do you know what her affiliation is with those people with the white gloves? I noticed her speaking to them in the gallery yesterday.
Well, I've seen them about speaking with her before, but I believe she may have used their help in containing the jewel. They gifted her with some new jewelry very soon after the gem itself appeared in her collection.
So the ruby is normally just on her in some capacity. We didn't see the ruby on her last when we were in court, though.
No, she only wears it for special occasions.
Such as a banquet?
Indeed.
Well, then it might be easier than we're thinking.
Just in case, is there an area, let's say after this banquet, and we are unsuccessful at getting it in the banquet, is there an area that she usually goes to that we could have a more intimate setting with her?
Garv is generally she tends to retire to her apartments after large events, but she's not there very often. She's very often out with people and talking to others and making sure that the Queen's business has been adequately completed. She stays very busy and spends very little time on her own in her apartments.
It's very social.
Yes, occasionally she may have a private lunch or dinner or a meeting with a courtier, but it's not very common that she would be alone in a place. Normally her staff and others in the court are with her.
Such as who? I want to know what her typical retinue would be like, and what kind of layout, what can we expect when we walk in? Having an idea of the physical space would also be very helpful.
She gives you a few details about the physical space, but they're, moderately helpful. Mm-hmm. There's kind of like an entryway. There's a couple of different rooms that she sort of describes. She tells you that she has spirits that are guarding her space, and that she often is in the company of kind of the equivalent of a bodyguard, but not quite so crass as a bodyguard. She also says she also has a large collection of Komeidai that store a lot of her information. Most of the time, it's the keepers that are watching them, but that she'll sometimes converse with them in the evenings to get a handle on the next day's events.
What the fuck is that?
What? The Kawaii Dai, the keepers?
The Kawaii Dai, they're people who store it, servants who are committed to, for a period of time, to store information. And she gives them information about various things so that she doesn't clutter up her brain. She inputs, this is very difficult to explain. She makes sure that the keepers inputs the information into the people, and they're able to then tell her things that she needs to know. She can access the information. She sometimes puts memories of different people and then brings them back out when she needs to remember them the next day. Little details, things that people care about, like what type of flowers they like and how many wives they've had.
That's quite helpful for a person in the court.
Is that sort of like a computer system?
A what?
She's basically saying it's like an update. You know, if you want to set something like have my deck or anything of that sort to tell me when your birthday is, it will tell me. That's what I'm understanding.
So it's a walking notepad?
Pretty much.
Person.
That's a very good description. Yes, a walking a book, I suppose, where one might record things. Although it's like having a very good friend who doesn't ever spill your secrets and knows all of them.
I wish
this person can't really talk. They don't act like a normal person in most ways.
So, how common are these? What was their name?
Koimeadai. All the courtiers have them.
Koimeadai.
And all the who's who. There's not very many who don't. It's very difficult to get by with limited information in the court, and so if you have one or two or a network like Garv does.
Now they store the information. The person who owns these Komeidai, they store the information within that person. These Komeidai do not go out and search for their own information, correct?
No, they're subject to the keepers. The keepers take care of them.
Okay.
And they don't talk or interact in any way unless you are collecting the information from them.
It sounds like they're husks. Walking husks.
Are they... Hey, thanks,
Thank you, Palmer.
Are they visible? Are they actually people? Like, could I touch one?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Now, do they stand
Certainly.
next to the person constantly, or do they hide out in one area?
They're very rarely out in the open.
Where are they kept?
Generally in a secure location, a locked room, sometimes there's communes of sorts. They don't require a lot of upkeep. They're very low maintenance as far as people go. They don't really need to talk. They eat minimal and their physical needs are basic.
Is there any way to break into one of these walking Palm Pilots?
Break in?
Get the information from them by not being their owner. Or while not being their owner.
Very, very difficult. It's it's been tried, but it doesn't always end very well.
Do they still have the same mental faculties that humans do?
No. Eventually, when their term ends, they go back to being the person they were before. But in this stage of their lives, they don't act as a normal human, and they're not able to reason like a normal human.
These people know that they're being used, right? They're not being stolen away.
Oh, certainly. There's no... I've heard tell of the occasional Koimeda slave, but that's not very common.
So it's like...
So they're willing to do that to themselves?
Oh, certainly. Oh, it's one of the few ways that one in the serving class can bring themselves up to the level of a courtier.
So they're like informational Bunraku puppets.
That's what it sounds like.
That's disgusting.
How do they recognize their owner? Do they have a password or a look? Is it just their face, or is it like a fingerprint or eye scan?
Symbols tattooed on their hands, and they match the symbol of the keepers.
Okay.
Only they can open it.
Putting 2 and 2 together, for example, we've all experienced some form of transformation when we arrived into this metaplane. Do you think maybe that joke about not having a decker is actually biting us in the ass here? It sounds like maybe the computer counterpart.
Well,
but there is certain ways. The way that we can unlock one of these things, people.
Do we need to break into them?
Well, that's the thing. I don't
I'm
know
not
what
sure
kind of information
how it would help your current situation. Do you have someone else you're working for?
Just the one who sent us to you?
Well,
if we were to break in, let's say, right, we acquired a whole Komeidai's informational packet, would say spreading it to the right people maybe get us a decent amount of Munera?
One would have to be delicate about it. Yes and no. If you spread to the right people, you may earn some Munera, yes, but the Fae are slippery. One may not always know their true intentions. You have dealt with, or so I've heard, some newcomers to the court who have been more than frank with you, but you're not going to get the same sort of treatment from others. And spreading information from a Koimeidai may incriminate you more than anything. There are certain things that Garv will tell them that no one else will know. And it will be very clear where it came from. I caution you.
I'm thinking, if we do find Garv's Komeidai, we find out her tattoo that's on her hand, and I could disguise one of us to be her for just a brief period. We could find some information that may or may not be useful to us. I'm thinking more of the letter that we know about.
Well,
as
curious as everything is,
probably yes.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
As curious as all of that is, I don't think that if it's not going to help us with the job at hand, I think this is incriminating for us as is, stealing from court jesters, and I think if it's going to be a lot of trouble, then we ought to just stick to the original objective.
Well, like she said, fair slippery. Nothing seems to be very straightforward here. It sounds maybe we have to be roundabout. I don't know if directly pickpocketing garb is necessarily the easiest way to do something like this.
I'm also more concerned about what kind of information she may or may not have on us. If these things know little details like what kind of favorite flower we have or favorite food, that's fine. But
so
if there's
far, she
other
knows
details,
our names.
Yes, but there's other ways
handles.
of finding out who these people are. We're not just from this world, and she's connected to our same world that we came from.
How is she connected to your world?
Not sure.
Yeah, that sounds like information that we have and you don't.
Max sub vocals to volatile, and he's just like basically just a verbal pat on the back. It's just a very like, yes.
You did good.
She says, what sort of connection are you talking about?
Well, perhaps she has connections to someone very important in the other metaplane. I'm sure you might have some ideas as to what working for someone important is like. Am I doing well?
You've only been on this plane for a couple of days and have learned the game already.
I high five Mock and Pandora.
Yeah.
Right.
I see. All right. I suppose we can deal the way the courtiers do. If you have information for me, I am willing to trade it for information of my own.
What kind of information would you have that would interest us?
An opportunity, if you're interested, to increase your payment and responsibility.
Had me at payment, lost me at responsibility.
It's up to you.
How much of an increase would we get?
Double.
Pandora raises an eyebrow and looks at Mark.
What?
I sub vocal to him and I go, could you potentially negotiate with her to make that higher?
We were already supposed to get, like 30,000?
And she's offering 60.
60,000?
No, I don't think it was that much. It was...
If it was double, it's
Notes.
26.
12? Was it 8 karma
12
plus 4?
karma. 12 karma.
12 karma total?
Oh, that would be...
So 24 karma.
24,000.
48,000.
What?
It would be 48,000 yen.
Yeah.
48,000 yen. Yeah. Well, total.
Total.
Yeah, I was saying
No, it's
24.
each. It's actually each because we're getting 12 karma apiece for the job.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
each get
total.
12.
Right.
Yeah, so we could walk out with 50k.
Whew.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, that's a lot already, and I think that's pretty. There's only so much you can do to increase the price. Really, when people give me under 10, I'm usually trying to grease their palms, but 50 is.
It's decent.
Think
of it this:
decent.
don't never go for the first offer. If you're willing to
Right.
do double for more responsibility, I think it's important to know what the responsibility would be
Responsibility
before
is,
we
yeah.
decide
Right,
that 50 is
exactly.
acceptable.
After all,
Yeah.
we all agree that we need more for this job anyway.
Well,
And that's for our other Johnson.
the other Johnson, yeah. Well, that's what I'm worried about, is what this responsibility is going to be. And then, yeah, after the sub-vocal, Mac will... Well, I guess Volatile was the one talking about the information, so he'll say, yeah, if you guys want to, let's find out what it is.
Yeah, sure. I'm fine with this. How do we exchange information to ensure that we don't neg on each other? Or neg? These are I don't. No.
Yes, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. I get it. Yes. Perhaps a blood pact.
I'm sorry, what?
She pulls out from her waistband a small dagger, and it's ornate, very clean, razor sharp. And she Max
already like, oh god.
She holds out her palm and then holds this little curved blade above it.
Hold on. I'm not looking, but please tell me she's not cutting her palm, because that's extremely impractical.
It seems like what she's doing, yes.
Why cut your palm?
That's how blood packs worked.
Before you go into any drastic jumps, what exactly would this blood pact do for us, or me? Out of character as someone who doesn't really know what this is in Shadowrun.
I'm curious as well.
Yeah.
Where she's going with this.
Is like, yeah, explain before I start cutting holes in my palm or back of the hand and a forearm.
It is an ancient magic. Unknown to the Sealy Court. And all of the commitments that we make are binding.
Would this keep us from leaving this metaplane after it's done?
No, if your job is complete, you then will be free to go.
What is this blood pact for?
To ensure that neither of us, as you say, reneges.
To what capacity are we talking about here? Just on disinformation exchange? Or is this like a forever deal? I mean, this is blood, it's...
The terms are up to you, are up to us, rather. If we do not exchange equivalent information, we'll pay the consequences. If we agree to do further business, the binding will remain. If we agree not to, then we will continue on with the current job, and that'll be that.
What happens if one of our bits of information isn't as important as the others?
Then
is information equal?
I suppose we'll have to hope that you have as important information as I do.
But then what happens if we don't, or you don't? What does that debt look like?
It looks like wasting away. You'll likely survive, but it'll be a difficult life.
Now, see, that's the thing, is if our information is very important to somebody, but is that subjective? If it's not important to you, does it not classify as being important? If your information isn't important to us, but important to someone else, is that classified as being non-important?
Are we doing this or not?
All information seems to be important here. It can be used for exchange of Munera and potentially other things. I mean,
how about this? I'll create a caveat. And if our exchange is not good enough, you'll have the opportunity to make it up to me, and I'll have the opportunity to make it up to you. We'll be indebted, but not wasting away.
That sounds better.
Some vocals. I think we're being played here.
That seems to be the case in this metaplane in general.
Yeah, but this is our Johnson too. It just... I fucking hate this place. Yeah, is there like some sort of like judge intentions that I can do? At all?
Yeah. Charisma?
Yeah, it's charisma plus logic.
That is a very logical set of dice to roll for.
All right.
This.
I am actually going to...
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too. Cause...
pre-edge.
You guys can hear me, right?
6 successes.
Yes.
We can now, yeah.
Skype just fucking... You guys went full robot for me. So, short summary. Can you guys explain what we're rolling for?
Judge intentions.
Judge intentions.
Okay,
Logic
right.
plus charisma.
Great, I'm doing that too.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Damn, six
I got
successes.
Yeah. Because I pre-edged, and also logic and charisma are my best stats.
That's why being a face is awesome.
She is... I mean, you've dealt with many a Johnson. Very few of them have given you all the information up front. Maybe for your own safety, maybe because you didn't need to know, whatever. To protect themselves. But she gave you this job with very clear parameters. Not a ton of information, but now essentially it seems like she's trying to give you this information, more information and more responsibility, in exchange for whatever you have. She's honest about that part for sure, but there's more to her than what you first thought. She's maybe not just such a simple seamstress. And one thing I think with a roll that good, one thing you note is that she offered to use magic that was unknown to, and she said very specifically, the Seelie Court.
Seelie Court.
If that's the case, then you could reason that if she knows magic from not this metaplane, then maybe she knows about the corporations that we're dealing with.
Yeah, so
she has communication with our Johnson in our world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My only thing is, I would really rather not make a devil deal, because that's a much bigger, worse thing to deal with.
Anything.
And if she's any sort of devil, then that's just gonna be just a pile of bullshit.
The problem I have with this is the blood magic part. If it is part of actually blood magic, I do not want anything to do with those ruffians at all. It is a sort of magic, but at the same time, I do not like it. And withering away does not sound it's not my cup of tea.
Well, she took that off the table. She took the withering away part of the table. It's really, if the information isn't equal, whoever needs to offer more information has the opportunity to acquire more information to satisfy that debt.
I think we need a little more information on this blood pact and where it came from, because I am not going to cut my skin for any reason if this needs to be important.
It's doubling our pay. Possibly increasing it more.
Money.
I'll do it.
Well, don't we all need to do it?
Does only one of us need to do this blood pact for the exchange of information? I mean, basically, once I know it, I can just pass it along to you.
That's where magic's tricky. If that happens, and if you make some sort of pact with any sort of magic or any sort of transfer at all, it could backfire immediately if you tell us. This might be just information that only you two could share.
Well, then let's ask her.
Yeah, Mac will, ask.
How about this? We can discuss the information, and she points at Volatile, in private. If you believe your compatriots will take on the job, do they trust you enough to complete the pact for the job itself? will they join our pact and complete the job that I propose to you?
So that's a yes. We all have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need some time to think about this? There's always the option of completing things as is.
Let's do this. Let's say yes for now. We talk. We figure out what we want, money-wise, in compensation for this, and then we seal the deal. There's an opportunity for a lot more pay. And if it means just getting a little bit of extra information, on our parts, I think what we have is pretty big.
If we go through this with this blood pact, I need to know more about it. This is ancient magic you speak of, and as a magician myself, I need to know more.
Each of us contributes to a pool of blood. We discuss our terms. If we exchange the information and it is incomplete or perhaps not useful, then we will work on that when we get to it. But ultimately, I have an extra task I'd like you to take on. And the terms, I will say this. If you agree to it, you are bound. If you do not, we can go our own separate ways. But there will be no discussion of what happened here. The terms will change so that you are not able to discuss this elsewhere. And it is binding for life. If you ever tell anyone, the wasting will take you.
Oh, good. So, subvocal. So, we get less pay and potentially waste away if we tell anyone. Even if it's at gunpoint. Or we just take the job and get more pay. We're pretty much in the shit. I'm sorry. Let's do this.
I'd rather not waste away from information. In the past, we've used information on any other corporation.
She's offering us to not waste away by doing this job. She's offering more payment.
So I need to know what this job is then, other than getting the rupee. Because
we won't find out until we do the information exchange. We have to do the blood pact in order to get the job. And then after we get that information, after we get that job, we negotiate for the pay that we feel it's worth.
What if the job's like killing ourselves off? Or something.
And just
really
to be clear too, she's giving you kind of an out, like you can just talk information.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide you're not taking the job, it's as long as there's no leaking of the information elsewhere, you can set those terms. Or if you decide to take the job, then she'll set those terms and it'll be...
I'm for doing it.
And reading people is kind of my specialty. If she was going to go through all of this trouble to try and get us to do a job, she wouldn't just make us do a blood pact and make us kill ourselves. It's not how people operate.
Well, we could ask, is the job that you need us to do, does it require us to harm ourselves in a way that cannot be avoided?
Besides the blood pact.
Oh, no, not by her own hand. You may be in a very dangerous situation, but...
Well,
par for the course.
Yeah, so there you go.
I hold out my giant hand. Go.
She takes your hand and she puts a little bowl underneath it and takes out the dagger and slices, and it drips into the bowl. And she kind of like massages your palm and pulls more out. And she lights a candle right next to it, and says, "Who's next?"
I'm still very confused about this. Out of character, I'm very confused on this still.
I need your help to do this job.
Well, I will if Max will.
Well, so look, I don't know if you can tell, but don't exactly have arms to draw blood from. So where am I mutilating myself with this?
She walks up to you and extends the dagger, kind of holds it right up in front of your chest, and it still has volatiles of blood on it. She says, "That's up to you, my love. It can be from anywhere."
Here, Mark, here's the thing. When you do this, if it's okay with the whole blood pact and everything, I will immediately heal you. How about that? I'll cover your wounds right up.
I thought that was part of the deal. This is
I'm just like holding the blood in my palm.
This is
just trickling down.
Making it worse. Come on.
Yeah, he like takes the dagger. Like he can already smell it, so he's already triggered.
Two.
He's like,
she takes it back. She says, I do have to do it. I just where's best? Your ankle?
I would need to be able to walk.
It's a little nick. You'll be fine.
She was fucking squeezing you like a lemon. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't know.
Pandora will heal you. Just pick a spot.
Yeah.
Right away.
He has a little bit of a thing with blood. He doesn't really like it.
I'll give you a lollipop after this if you're a good boy.
I'll give you that if you're a good boy. Why don't you shove your deck up your arse? And he like unbuttons the shirt and like he will have like a little he'll just kind of like have a spot like in a non-lethal part of his chest to just be like,
all right, just do it.
She picks up the bowl, brings it over to Mac, and she draws it down, draws the dagger down, and it bleeds into the bowl, and she strokes her hand down his chest and kind of like milks out as much blood as she can.
You're hitting the bowl.
Yeah. Like when she looks at like Pandora basically looks at it and she's like, "You done? Okay, perfect." And she puts like really gently on like Mac's chest, and her hands are super cold, so it kind of gives you that like but she heals you up immediately, and it covers and it goes away. See, all better.
I'm gonna go outside. And yeah,
Yes.
walks out.
So she grasps Pandora's hand and does the same.
Oh, put it somewhere where I can be less concealing. I show off a lot of skin, sweetheart. It needs to go with whatever I wear.
She starts to it, and she's like, where would you like it?
I guess my hand's fine. And then she holds back out her rifle.
So she draws down your hand, she squeezes out the blood, and then she cuts on her own hand and squeezes out some more. And she, once Mac comes back in, all the bleeding's done. She says, all right. And she starts speaking in a language none of you understand, and kind of hovers her hands over the bowl. And you all kind of feel a little bit fuzzy, like you're kind of almost insulated and drained. And she says, "None of what I tell you can leave this room. That is the part of our blood pact." And as she's speaking, her beautiful red hair begins to darken, and her pale, soft features begin to sharpen, and you see sharp teeth grow in her mouth, and her eyes turn kind of red, and she's got these, like, her fingernails turn black, and she says, "I have been subject to these fae for a long time, and I've spent much time in the company of Garv. I've been her seamstress, creating her motleys, her outfits, for a very long time. I believe it's been, perhaps 100 years, perhaps 3. They took my people. They slaughtered us for giving them exactly what they wanted." And she, as she's talking, she continues to transform almost to this monstrous sort of looking creature. And she says, "Some of my sisters are captured for minor offenses that are meaningless, and I need them to be freed. The ruby contains the power I need to remove them. If you are successful in obtaining it, then my plan was to offer you more near the end, but it appears that you have complicated matters with your new information. Tell me, what is it that you've found out?"
The Queen is working with Aruhiko Nakata, the president and CEO of the corporation Renraku, on our metaplane, or our plane. Some form of project. Garb seems to know about it and has been writing correspondence between the two on the Queen's behalf. So that they're pleased with the results and they're looking forward to continuing their transactions.
Garv has recently obtained many more Komeidai and seems to have strange people in her employ. Some like you, in fact. From the other world.
There's more of us here?
At least 3.
And you said she turned them into Komeidai, or they're under her employ?
They're under her employ. The Komeidai are Fae. But the other runners, you call yourselves, they are discreetly collecting information.
So not only are they from our metaplane, but they're Shadowrunners.
Are you not? Is not everyone on your metaplane Shadowrunners? Those
No.
are the only type I've ever met.
Good to know. Are these 3 the only others you've met besides us?
And your
Employer, or Johnson.
yes, the large lady.
Right. No, Shadowrunning is a type of person, kind of like a mercenary. I don't know if you have those cell swords. Is
Certainly.
that? Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. They have Shadowrunners working for the court here? People know of this place, other than people who are clued in?
I suppose the Queen...
We're the only ones who've contacted, right? For this job?
Yes.
Alright.
I told the Orc lady and she sent you.
Right.
Perhaps the R. Johnson wanted a safer, better way of, just in case if we fail, she'll have a backup. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if they work for her then, because they're definitely not doing what they're supposed to if they're working for the Queen.
What do you mean?
Well, we're working against the court, basically, with what we're doing. We're trying to steal from a member of it. And so if they have a Shadowrun team working for the court, then did they know we were coming?
Well, let me ask you this. What was your first contact within the court itself?
You? Well...
Oh, I'm not one member. Which courtier came up and approached you first?
The Jester.
The Jester did.
There's very little that she does not know is going on. I suspect I have covered all of my tracks, but, and she gestures at the bowl of blood, I have access to magic that very few do. And I have my own system of favors.
Well, this is definitely something we're going to have to be careful of, yeah.
Do we know where these, so the job now is after we get the ruby, release them?
Yes, the hairpin is powered by the ruby itself. It was stolen from myself and my sisters long ago. And has been kept away from us for a very long time. If it is reunited, it has the ability to transport its bearer to another location, which is the only way to escape the dungeons.
How would you do that with multiple captives and only one jewel? Would there need to be someone left behind?
We may only be able to save one. At least for the time being.
Just a clarification question. So these people are the Fae. What does that make you and your sisters?
She takes a finger and dips it in the blood, and then licks it, and tastes it, and says, "I am one of the Chavancy. We've been part of the court against our will for a long time. We were at war with the Seelie, and they conquered us, and we became their servants. The only reason they let us live is because many of them are in our services. When one gets a taste of having their blood sucked, they often want more. Do you have your face?
So you're So you're vampires then?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I don't even know how to explain that one. All right, yeah, that's
Are there creatures like me in your world?
Oh, not
yes.
that I've seen.
Yeah, they don't look like you, sweetheart, but they're similar. They do the whole blood-sucking thing. It's their thing.
You're saying vampires exist in the Sixth World?
I believe it. I've been through the circus multiple times, and I have seen things.
All right,
Don't give me that look.
let's not get into a zoology argument here.
All right, so again, you said the dungeons are in the... Did you say where the dungeons were? I might have missed that.
They're nowhere. They're in another plane of existence. They're impossible to find. Well, not impossible to find, impossible to get out. It's a very... They're very good dungeons, is what I'm saying.
And...
The entrance is within the castle, but the cells themselves exist outside of this metaplane.
And if we were to get the ruby into the jade hairpin, we would need to go into the entrance to the dungeons and somehow do what? How do we assist?
You would need to get past the guards. You would need to find the cell that my sister is in. And you would need to enter it. Normally, it's not very hard to get in. If you have the pin, you'll be able to get out.
What exactly does the hairpin do? Other than that it's a key.
It's a method of travel. It brings one from one plane to another. It is a transport system.
Well, that explains how I got here.
And so the hairpin would teleport itself into the metaplane with the cell, allowing one of your people, one of your sisters, to grab it and escape.
You're going to have to go in with it, unfortunately.
And then how do we get out?
The pin will bring you out.
How?
How do we
can
do
show
that with
you
only
how to
one
use
person? Yes.
Yes. Basically, we need to infiltrate the dungeon, which will take more than just one person. And once you do, you find her cell, you enter. One of you will have to enter. And the pin will take both of you out.
So the other two would be behind, back into the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have to find another route to escape.
The cells themselves exist on the other planes. The dungeon is part of the castle. The cells are a different story. It'll be easy to escape the dungeons. It's not so easy to escape the cells. Which is why we need the pin.
It's a strange way to lock a creature up.
So theoretically, are you saying that if one person goes in, pops one of the sisters out, and then goes back in, they could keep retrieving sisters back and forth until we decide it's time to leave?
I suppose that might work, yes.
Would that mean higher payment?
Certainly.
Well, then let's negotiate those terms. You're saying double to enter the dungeons to infiltrate it after we collect the ruby, the job that you are supposed to do, and take out one individual. How much would bonus individuals be? Would that triple the payment? Then quadruple?
How many sisters are there to be saved?
I know of at least 3.
3. What if we said 6,000 per head? That's a quarter of the price. So, if we get all three that you know about out, that would be 18,000.
In addition to the doubling.
In addition to the doubling.
We'll say 12,000 for the first one, and 6 for the next two. That's 6 per head after that.
And is this after the double payment or no?
Correct.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Your total and final payment would be 36,000.
No, 36 karma, right? And then it's 64?
Karma.
Okay.
Right, it'd be 18 karma. Wait,
okay. So it's 12.
36 karma. Yeah, 36 karma.
Okay. So we started with So we started with 12. That was our original payment. Then she's offering double to get one sister out. That was the original intention anyway. They had to break into this dungeon and collect the girl, right? And then, so that's fair. And then each additional head is another 6,000. So it's like,
Correct.
Okay.
36 karma.
Sorry, 6 karma. So then you'd be, right, so 36 karma times, you get 64k each.
Right.
That's what she's offering.
Yeah. So yeah, he subvocals and says, she raised the price.
No, she actually didn't. She didn't.
I said 6,000 per head, and then she said 12,000 and then 6,000.
No, because we said 6,000 after the doubling. So essentially we were getting paid an extra 12 to just infiltrate the dungeons, and then every sister was an additional 6. What she's saying is it's 12 to infiltrate and get one sister out. So she's cutting it down by 6,000.
I don't like that at all. And he'll come back in and say, look, I think that going against a court of a metaplane that we don't understand is worth the 12,000 risk, and getting out as many as we can with 6,000 per head is more than fair for the extreme threat on our lives and worse by doing this for you.
Not to mention that the court is connected to our metaplane and is connected to a really high CEO that could easily track us down.
Also, not to mention, there's no guarantee that your sisters are even still alive in that cell, in which case we go in, we do the infiltration, and then you're potentially offering us 0 for doing it.
Yes.
There's a lot that can go wrong. There's a lot that we can be held accountable for. And so I think that the doubling plus 12,000 and 6,000 per head is our final offer.
Roll negotiation.
I will assist.
Yeah, you both assist because you both...
Yeah, we both put in our 2 cents.
I don't have negotiation, but I have con, but
you can
we're rolling negotiation,
so
so charisma.
Yep.
Charisma, yeah. Let's see. So that's a lot, plus a lot, plus a lot.
I got
1
2.
or 2.
2.
You get 2 bonus successes.
So plus 4. So that's 10, 14.
Well, wait. Remember, you can only get a maximum dice from us equal to your negotiation skill.
So 4.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I get I get the 4 that you guys gave me.
Oh,
so 6. 14. Okay. I am going to use a point of edge on this as well.
Nice.
So 16
That's what faces do, man. You have to
16d6 carrot 4. That is 9 successes plus rerolls.
Oh,
4d6 carrot 5. So that's 10 successes.
What? Oh, that's right from your
For my pheromones and everything. So 10 successes.
Do you agree? Do you agree?
Jesus.
She nods and says, I see your point. You're very convincing. However, I do not have the strange currency of your world in such great denominations. Therefore, I can offer you what I offer the orc woman. There are plants that I can grow quite easily that will fetch large amounts of karma, I believe you call it.
Nuyen.
In Nuyen? This is all very confusing.
Karma is what we say in the rule book when we're breaking the fourth wall, but it's really called Nuyen.
It's called, I got it.
36 of run and gun. It's actually
page 63. Okay. Well, I have these plants that are in high demand, and so if you'll take them as payment, perhaps your orc lady will exchange them for more of the tiny square things.
So you'll be giving us the equivalent to what could be, what is it, an additional 6,000, right?
6,000
she's cutting
per...
it up. Yeah. She's cutting it by 6,000 as well.
36 karma.
36 karma. Yeah, but what I mean is like what she was when we were saying was 6,000 to it because like add 6,000.
Yeah, she's offering.
Sorry, it's 42 karma actually because you're looking at 24 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. 24 plus 18.
I think that was the same amount that.
Let's just say it's 42, and we'll work the math later. She offers essentially the equivalent.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have the full payment.
All right.
So it's 42 karma, which is 84,000 Nuyen.
You guys.
Each. If we come out of this.
Each. Yeah.
God damn it! And this is a fucking 4-shot. So.
Yeah.
Back in season 2 as well, just so. No.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think 42 karma was almost the exact amount that we all earned throughout the year of Anarchy in general. Like we
definitely, I think you were closer to 100s.
I don't remember. I only remember getting up to 48 and being like, "Yeah, I'm rich."
Well,
and you negotiated up, but this is if you'd had the 36, it would have been what 8 per job, which is pretty much the same.
All right. Well, I'm glad we could come to an accord.
Yes.
I believe both of our information were equivalent.
I agree. You've given me something to think about.
Technically, your information helped you more than us. So if you want to do us a favor.
It's the job.
And don't be a smartass.
Shit ton, yeah.
Well,
she's scary now. She was all innocent and pretty before, and she's scary Nuala.
I think
I'm nervous, so it's fine.
I think if Mac actually did that, Pandora, as he's doing that, would immediately slap his arm, stop it.
Travis is the one doing that.
Well done.
All right, so that's a deal then.
We have a lot of work to do. To prepare.
All right.
Gotta find ourselves some clothes.
That's the problem, sweetheart. I can dress you up no matter what.
Okay, I think that after all this time negotiating, we are going to jump right to the party.
Ooh.
So it's a couple days later, and you